But, I mean, going way back, even before you were saved, even before you were a gospel singer, but you went through a lot. Satan tried to destroy you, but God had his hand on you because he had a plan and a purpose for you.
There was a time in my life, almost 21 years ago now, it's marked back that far, but I reached rock bottom in my life. But it started back when I was probably a teenager in high school. I was on the Honor Society. I was an A student. I mean, I had everything going for me. And then I started ditching school and doing this and doing that, John.
Yeah.
And, you get into this and you get into that. And first it was smoking a little dope and then, drinking a little beer and a little whiskey here and there. And before I knew it, I was 16 years old.
Had you hooked?
I was hooked on everything I could get my hands on. And I was also a dropout of high school. I went from an A student to a dropout in 2 years.
Wow.
And I was also, by the time I was 17 then, my first daughter was born 10 days before my 17th birthday.
Really?
So from 14 years old, an A student, had my whole future in front of me. In 2 years' time, I was a single mom and a dropout of high school. And my life just began a spiral slide downhill from there. And I could go on and on and on about different instances in my life that just, I can't stand here and tell you, or sit here today and tell you that I'm not ashamed of my past, but I don't regret it. I don't regret it for a moment, because it's made me who I am today. And it's made me more appreciative of the mercy of God.
Come on.
And I know
That's
that
good
his
preaching.
love is real.
We need to do this
Too
more
many
often.
of us, John, anymore, we take for granted
We do. We
the
really
mercy
do.
and the grace.
We do.
Back in that time frame of my life, I went through a time where I was so addicted to cocaine and whiskey. That was the two things that was my downfall. I had to have one to keep me going and one to get me sleep. So it was a crutch for me. And I remember one time, and I want to share this story. I've been sharing it quite a bit because I know there's a lot of people out there in the same situation that I was. You're addicted to something, but you really don't want to admit it. But I got to the point where I neglected my children. It was all about me, and I wanted that high. I had to have that high. My children, they were very small. I just had Jason and Julie at the time, and Jason was 18 months old. And I shared an apartment with a friend of mine that we worked at the same restaurant. We worked third shift at an all-night restaurant. And we were partying one day, and we lived on the third floor of an apartment building. And our building was on the very end. Our apartment was on the end building, and the window there on the side did not have a screen in it. And we both promised each other to never open that window because we both had children. Well, unknowing to me, she had opened the window and pulled the drapes shut, and I didn't know. Pushed the coffee table up toward the drapes to keep the drapes shut. My son's 18 months old. He wants to climb on things. Here we are partying, and we were, drinking Jack and snorting Coke, and all of a sudden I saw my son climbing up on that table. I did not know the window was open. I was having me a good old time, I thought. Next thing I know, my son, I see his diaper go out that window. I didn't know what else to do, so I ran out the door, flew down 3 flights of stairs, come around to the side of the building where he had fallen out that window.
He fell down
He
3
fell
stories?
3 stories down.
Wow.
There was a little girl. There was a little girl holding him. I believe in angels.
That's good. That's good.
When I wasn't in my right mind, and I had no sense about my own self to take care of my own children, even back then, God
Come
was
on,
watching
girl.
out for me.
Oh, yeah.
And he took care of not only me, but he took care of my kids. I can't tell you the numerous times I would wake up and not know where they were, where I'd left them. And I'll tell you, God's mercy is real. July of 1987, I became so convicted, because just 2 months prior to that, my mother came to my house. And I was 25 now and had 3 kids. And still living that kind of life, and just whatever I could get my hands on, I'd be taking it. I became very ill, and it just about got the best of me. But my family threw me away. They didn't want nothing more to do with me. And my mother came to my house in April of 1987, and she told me she could not stand the fact to be my mother, or even call me her daughter, for the life that I was living. And she disowned me that day. And she walked out. But when she walked out, John, when that door slammed, something inside my heart broke. And that's when I began to really think about my life, because I'd lost the only person I knew that I could count on. And I began thinking of a song that my grandmother taught me when I was maybe 5 years old. And that's Jesus Loves Me, This I Know. That song began running through my mind, and I wanted to know who this Jesus was that loved me. Now, I couldn't remember the day before or the week before, but from 5 years old, I remembered every word of that song. And just because I wanted to know who he was, it took from April till July before I found him at an altar in Jackson County, Kentucky. Amen. I found him.